There was a buzz of excitement at the Newcastle Stock Exchange this morning as officials prepared for their first trade. And right on the buzzer at 10:30 it came. An American company buying 10,000 shares in locally listed mining group Pegmont Mines.
We're now officially online. Newcastle's now got one of the only two operating stock exchanges in Australia.
Pegmont bosses looked on with interest. Their company is too small to be listed by the Australian Stock Exchange.
We couldn't have listed on the ASX, not at this moment in time. So in that sense, the NSX, Newcastle Stock Exchange, essential.
By mid-morning, almost 40,000 shares had been traded on behalf of the exchange's two listings.
We've had a lot of interest from Newcastle investors, and we've had a lot of inquiries about the companies coming on board. So no, there's a lot of interest in Newcastle and of course Australia-wide.
It's hoped a new securities deal with the Australian Wine Exchange will bring new listings to Newcastle.
That should provide 100 listings in March. It's a new product. It's a world first product of securitising wine inventories, and reception from the vineyards I've spoken to is very positive.
Paul Lobb, NBN News.
Amanda Stewart and John Hewlin left Newcastle Court today as a newly married couple, but the October 23 union almost never happened, especially when the 20-year-old found him in bed with her best friend in the Burrigal home they shared last July. According to police, the mother of one flew into a rage, leaving her de facto husband with nerve damage after stabbing him repeatedly in the hand. She then threatened to slit her friend's throat. Today, a Newcastle magistrate sentenced Stewart to a 2-year good behaviour bond for a malicious wounding charge and to the rising of the court for one count of assault, but it came with a stern warning. Magistrate Morahan saying, "I hope you get the message. If you come back again and you got this on your record, it's unlikely you'll get a second chance." He went on to say, "I'm concerned you've shown no remorse whatever. You've now married the victim, and that's a long way from the original charge of attempted murder." The court heard Stewart was now on antidepressant medication and that she and her new husband were attending counselling. Helen Kapelos, NBN News. Today's clean-up operation at Warramai may have been an attempt to decontaminate the smoke-logged building, but it seems that where there's smoke, there's fire. And today a long list of concerns resurfaced about the building, which saw 4 inmates trapped inside a tiny holding cell after a blaze broke out yesterday.
This area isn't designed for the maximum safety and security of young people in remand, and I think the sooner that we have a situation that is purpose designed, the better.
A solution that's perhaps come too late after concerns were aired about the cell's primitive conditions and the lack of supervision just 3 months ago. The opposition called for a full inquiry into the matter during Parliament today, a move supported by local Labor politicians who agree many questions still remain unanswered. But one thing no one can agree on is exactly who is responsible for the conditions surrounding the blaze which failed to activate the centre's alarm system and injured 2 inmates and 3 policemen who rushed to their aid.
At the moment there's some lack of clarity whether the duty of care resides here with the police or whether the duty of care resided with the court officers. I think it's important to get to the bottom of the situation.
The 15-year-old charged with setting alight the highly flammable foam lounge chairs inside the cell was refused bail today at a special sitting in Newcastle Local Court. Children's court matters from Warramai have been transferred to Wallsend Court until the end of the week. Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
Cleaner and greener grape growing at this vineyard started with an analysis of what goes into the process and how to minimise what becomes waste. And with an estimated 5 to 8 litres of wastewater for every litre of wine, it also makes business sense to find ways to reduce costs and increase efficiency.
Doing some numbers, you can quickly find a significant amount of water in one vintage period, which will contribute to your growing season the following year.
Meanwhile, these worms are doing their bit for the environment, helping to turn solid waste into fertiliser.
The process we're going through is to determine how we can quickly turn what was useless, relatively useless solid waste into a resource that can again be used back in the business in agriculture.
The initiative will be used as a model for other vineyards and has the support of Clean Up Australia's Ian Kiernan.
Instead of saying how little treatment can we give the water and where can we dump it, it's a matter of how can we turn it back into a resource and put it back into the crop.
And Tamburlaine growers say the real proof is in the drinking. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
While the torn-up turf may not look like much at the moment, in about 18 months, developers Stevens Group and Medalist Golf Developments hope to make it the golfing destination on Australian shores. A task not beyond their reach when Greg Norman is at the helm, designing the 18-hole championship course with more than 360 hectares at his disposal.
What we're looking to build is one of the finest golf courses in New South Wales and hopefully Australia. Greg Norman Design has been working on the site for over 12 months, and everything Greg attaches his name to is based on quality.
But the course is more than just purely aesthetics and leisure. In fact, a $100 million development will offer up to 300 permanent jobs and increase tourism.
We're probably looking in the order of about 300 jobs at the end of the day. You'll have approximately 200 jobs in the construction phases over the next 5 years.
The entire site will be known as Vintage Estate, and apart from golf will also boast a vineyard and a 150-room hotel, and should be open for business by March in 2002. Adam Harper, NBN News.
It was April 1999 when, on a visit to Williamtown, Prime Minister Howard confirmed the Hunter would be home to the AWAC project. But after failing to rate a mention in the defence budget, it was thought the whole project had been shelved. Now there's confirmation 4 airborne early warning and control aircraft will be based at Williamtown, with an option on another 3.
The money is there for all 7. I'm quite confident that when you go down the track we will get all 7. The work will have to start soon on this project because the first ones are due for delivery in 2006.
The aircraft, similar to this US Air Force AWAC, will boost Australia's air defence capability by detecting enemy aircraft hundreds of kilometres away. 200 personnel will give ground support from the recently opened Williamtown Eastern Region's Operations Centre. The RAF's Hornet fleet is also in for changes, with up to 100 new aircraft to replace them. The federal government has also announced a program to build 15 new Navy patrol boats. Senator Tierney is optimistic ADI at Carrington will play a role.
Newcastle is very well placed to do the whole job or part of it.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
Newcastle United has been working overtime this week with extra training sessions before heading to Perth. Lee Sterry rates the Glory as the best team in the competition and is expecting more from his players after last round's loss to Wollongong.
Certainly over the first 8 weeks this season, with everything that's gone on, we're getting to a point where, that's all behind us. So, there's no more excuses.
With the game not until Sunday, the coach hasn't named the final lineup just yet. Today, only a 17-man squad was revealed. As expected, Travis Dodd has been declared fit to play. Meanwhile, one of Newcastle's soccer exports has returned home for a month off. Ex-breaker Clayton Zane was sad to see his old club go under, but for the moment his focus is overseas. The striker has just completed his first season with Norwegian club Molde, and he's looking elsewhere.
I've been across in England for the last month, had a bit of a trial over there and had other trials lined up in Germany that fallen through. Maybe they'll come back up in January or February next year.
Australian representative honours occupied 7 months of Zane's year, and with the World Cup approaching, there could be more in store.
If called up, I'd certainly love to be involved in the World Cup qualifiers, and from there anything can happen.
Sydney beat Dandenong in the first ever WNBL match held in Newcastle last year, and while the Flames have been renamed the Panthers, they're hoping for a repeat performance.
You guys do have a great support crowd, and they did come and support us last year, so hopefully we'll get the same turnout and put on a show like we did last year.
Olympic silver medalist Annie Burgess attended a coaching clinic today, but come January 28 she'll be joined by 4 Panthers teammates from the Central Coast and the Hunter, among them new recruit Alison McElveen.
It's been a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to coming back and playing in Newcastle early next year.
Perhaps Alison will one day have a local team to play for. Lord Mayor John Tate has added his weight to the push for a national women's basketball or netball side in the city.
We're the largest regional area in Australia, and we certainly deserve to have national teams in those sports.
Meanwhile, the AFL is also coming to town. Ex-Sydney Swans player turned assistant coach Paul Roos today enjoyed a game with local juniors and drummed up support for a challenge match at No. 1 Sports Ground on March 10. The game will be between 2 teams who've been eliminated from the pre-season Ansett Cup, and even if that includes the Swans, they won't mind the trip.
If we're coming up here, it'll be an enjoyable day. If we're not coming up here, which means we're in the Ansett Cup semi-final, so we can't lose.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
They're ganging up on me.
Rachel. Rachel. Oh, sorry. Debbie. Squirt clean.
In the past month, more than 170 motorists in Newcastle's CBD and surrounding areas have had valuables stolen from their cars. The sharp rise in the crime has sparked a police crackdown.
Police patrolled specific hotspot areas in unmarked cars and in plain clothes.
This King Street car park is one of them, shattered glass, the evidence of countless smash and grabs. But today's motorists still had windows wound down or valuables left plain for all to see.
If they see a mobile phone like that, that's an easy temptation for thieves.
Other hotspot streets include Hunter, King, Union, Lehman, Toole, Wolf and Newcommon.
We have intelligence packages. We have photographs of the known thieves and the known repeat offenders. We have all the information on the people that we're targeting.
2 14-year-olds were arrested last night. Police believe some children as young as 12 may be part of teenage groups who are believed to be responsible for many of the break-ins.
But the courts have to give us the support to keep them out of play for a lengthy period of time. Unfortunately, we are seeing a lot of people back on the streets very, very quickly.
Vanessa Trezise, NBN News. Commodity handling company Globex is behind the $40 million proposed grain terminal to be located at Dykeberth No. 3. After being awarded the tender by Newcastle Port Corporation, the company was given a further green light this week after a development application was lodged with the state government. In full operation, the new facility is expected to attract 600,000 tonnes of grain and new business to our port each year, and at the same time provide an alternative to the port's only grain handling terminal operated by GrainCorp. Apart from the local jobs boost, the project could provide a cheaper alternative to flood-stricken farmers because a new competitor is entering the market.
Certainly either quality will improve or prices will go down, or perhaps even both, which is great for our grain farmers.
A spokesperson for GrainCorp today said they welcome the competition. If the DA goes to plan, Globex is hoping to have the terminal up and running in time for the 2002 grain season. Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
Over the past few weeks, the classrooms at West Wallsend School have become recording studios, thanks to music producer parent Steve Jones.
Just this incredible talent just sort of flowed out of them there that I don't think anybody knew they had. Yeah, it was wonderful.
500 copies of the disc have been made, ensuring enough for the mums, dads, aunties and uncles. There's even talk it'll be a sellout.
Every child in the school has been involved in it. We had a school-wide competition for the students to design the cover, and we selected the winner, who was a kindergarten student, Katie. It's a beautiful cover, and all the children are on the CD.
Do you think it'll wind up on the charts?
I'm not too sure about that one.
Meantime, the Salvation Army also launched a CD today. Stars like Glenn Shorrock and John Stevens giving their time, with proceeds going to the Salvo's Christmas appeal. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
Three kilometres out of town and covering 35 square kilometres, if given the go-ahead, the open-cut coal mine at Mount Arthur North will more than double the size of the existing Bengalla operation. The sheer size and nature of the development has led to obvious community concern, and now those fears are being formally addressed, with the company behind the proposal also being given the chance to answer their questions.
I think there should always be independence. It should be reviewed by independent consultants. DUAP themselves employed independent noise and dust consultants to review our EIS.
Local residents are also grateful for the opportunity to have their say.
I think that people would have felt that they had absolutely no input to the process at all if they'd done that. It's good that we're having one.
While residents aren't denying the mine would have some positive impact on the town, concern over noise and dust dominate. And they're hoping this inquiry will lead to at least strict conditions on operations, but at best for their properties to be bought out.
We can't stop your coal mine, but we don't want to live where we're living anymore.
The inquiry continues for the next 3 days. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
"25-year-old John Dummett was first noticed by Newcastle Tax Office employees when he was caught spitting on the building around 7 p.m. on the 4th of October. But the Newcastle man's next action attracted the attention of police when he warned a staff member not to come to work the next day. Police allege he said, "Don't go to work tomorrow because I'm going to plant a pipe bomb. I've got 3 at home. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to put my point across." His point, as he later told police, related to a problem he was having with the tax office over money that was deducted from an insurance claim paid to him.
They just slowed the process down heaps, and that's where I just lost it, and I don't know. I wish I had the counselling when I did.
During sentencing, his barrister told the court it was a one-off incident because Dummett was not being treated for problems he had at the time, which included post-traumatic effects from being threatened at gunpoint while on his way home from work one night. But today he wished he could take it all back.
I did not mean to say what I said, and I would never bomb anything.
Magistrate Morahan told the registered nurse it was an extremely serious offence that normally warrants a jail term. Taking special circumstances into consideration, Dummett was then placed on a 2-year good behaviour bond.
I'm very, very sorry, and I wish I could reverse all of this 3 months.
Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
We've got to really dig deep for some character and pride this week, and certainly pride's what we need to look for. I'm not going to go wholesale seconds on bringing people in that can't do the job. I'm not going to be ridiculous about it.
Despite winning the multi-million-dollar contract to build 60 new fire trucks, the employees of Varley Specialised Vehicles weren't resting on their laurels today. Special guest at the plant was State Minister for Public Works, Maurice Yemmer, who signed off on the deal.
Part of the attractiveness of this bid means that the cab sashi gets manufactured here, and previously that wasn't the case. And it's also 80% of the components will be sourced locally.
The company plans to offer another 30 positions, more if the option for another 20 vehicles is accepted.
There's a 2-year option to extend, so it could end up being a 5-year contract with a total value of $50 million if the options are exercised.
It's backed our decision to enter into this specialised vehicle market, and I believe we're only going to grow in that area.
Winning the highly prized contract is a major coup for the Hunter. Varley beat 6 other manufacturers for the lucrative deal. The contract is the largest of its type to be awarded to a New South Wales company.
Yes, another exciting day for the Hunter, and it rounds off a pretty good year all round.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
People are going into Christmas and the new
He was in town to open the $5 million extensions to Newcastle Airport, but Senator Ian MacDonald was soon defending the federal government's decision to encourage the new owners of Bankstown Airport to entice regional carriers to its runways. At the same time, though, he backed up John Anderson's promise that no regional carrier will be forced out of Kingsford Smith.
A commitment that present arrangements would stay, both at Kingsford Smith and at Bankstown.
The Howard government's decision to keep Badgerys Creek in reserve has put the international airport proposal in Newcastle back on the agenda.
The decision made by the government yesterday gives a great opportunity for those who think that there is an appropriate site in their locality to actually get their plans together and to approach the federal government.
There's no way this airport is going to be another Badgerys Creek though.
Newcastle Airport, based at Williamtown, is in a prime position to handle any future expansion of services. Renovations to the terminal, runway apron and car parking facilities has doubled its capacity.
We're now looking at getting Trans-Tasman traffic in here. We're looking at getting larger aircraft in here.
Port Stephens Council has also announced it will rezone 175 hectares of rural land at Williamtown to ensure future expansion at the airport for the next 30 years. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
The Nazari family left Newcastle Coroner's Court today still unsure of how their son spent his final hours. His parents, Lawrence and Phyllis, found him dead in his bed on the 26th of August last year. The 32-year-old had died from a lethal dose of heroin. At the inquest today, a 42-year-old woman he was with the day before he died was called to give evidence. Christine Loughran denied she was avoiding Bill's parents shortly after his death, even though she said she would talk to them and return some of his possessions left at her home. The Bolton Point woman also admitted she was investigated in relation to 2 heroin-related deaths, but said she had nothing to do with them. Nazari, she said, was a good friend and she was totally shocked at his death. Shortly after Loughran gave evidence, investigating officers arrested her and charged her with a number of offences, including the supply of heroin. As a result, the inquest was terminated. Loughran was remanded in custody on several charges, which include supplying heroin to Bob Nazari. She'll appear in Newcastle Local Court tomorrow. Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
The National League might be based around a traditional surf carnival, but it's no day at the beach. Just ask Adrian Tobin. The Belmont Swansea Ironman was taken out on the sand and in the water in round 1.
I got a belt across the head with a ski paddle in the last round, which put me going backwards for a little bit, but fought my way through the pack, and this weekend hopefully I can get to the front and fight my way from there.
Tobin finished 8th at Manly but is confident heading to Mooloolaba, a place he considers his second home. Training partner Ryan Norrie doesn't know the venue quite as well, but the 18-year-old series debutant will be out for a solid showing in the surf race.
Last time was quite interesting, racing those older blokes, so I can't wait to get in there and give them a shake this weekend.
Adrian is one of those older blokes at a positively ancient 22, but before the pair left today, he was in no doubt who'll be doing all the shaking.
He knows I'm going to smash him in the surf race, so he'd want to watch out.
Round 2 takes off on Sunday. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
I think we probably should go down and see the Premier when he comes back from overseas, and we should continue to raise the public awareness and get people to write directly to Mr Carr.